Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main man Bryce Ward. Bryce, what is up?
No, not much, man. Just the usual. Watching a little basketball when I can, but it's been tough lately. But I'm excited to get into these topics.
As always, we got some shit to get into. We had some things happen this week. First, I know we touched on this last week, but are you shocked that Coach Bud got fired from the Milwaukee Bucks?
No, not really. It seemed like that was kind of the direction that the rumors were leaning in terms of what Milwaukee might do first. We were talking. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but you mentioned the other day that them winning that first championship probably saved his job that year. So, but I did see something else interesting that I think besides Kerr, like the last three coaches to win championships have all gotten fired. And I mean, besides Kerr, of course. And I just thought that was so interesting. It was like, wow, it's not enough to win a championship. You have to keep that standard high because
Absolutely.
because once you do win a championship, people expect you to be like one of the top four teams every year. You can't be getting bounced in the first round.
Yeah, Frank Vogel, Nick Nurse, and I'm drawing a blank on. Oh yeah, and Budenholzer. Those are the three. Yeah,
Mhm.
crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. Um, they're Milwaukee is trying to get Nick Nurse there, but I do believe that Frank Vogel might be a better fit because I kind of heard that yesterday from Ben Simmons, and I'm like, yeah, listen to me, Bill Simmons, forgive me. And I do think Vogel would be a better fit in Milwaukee than Nick Nurse. But I also heard at the beginning of the season, Giannis was ready to move on from Bud, like because they had to have his say so to get rid of Bud. So
Mhm.
I thought that was interesting too. And I remember I told you after the series, listening to Giannis' press conference, the failure speech got most of the publicity, but he did kind of low key throw Bud under the bus a couple of times
Mhm.
in that press conference too. So that was interesting. So yeah, Coach Bud is out. You have Chris Middleton being a free agent. You have Brooke Lopez being a free agent. All of these guys outside of Giannis, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday are mid 30s. Outside of Giannis, do you think you throw a lot of money at these guys to bring them back? Or do you do like a sneak rebuild if you're
Um,
Milwaukee?
Middleton for sure way more. It would just depend what Lopez wanted because he's getting a little older as well. So for me, it would be about a little worried about how much we're gonna pay him since he's getting older. But Chris Middleton, yeah, I mean, I like his game a lot, and I mean when he's on and healthy, he's very important. So um, I would try to bring back Middleton for sure. I would try to bring back
Absolutely.
Lopez too. Just it all has to be for the right price and contract and stuff.
So you think because they're capped out right now, so you think you go one more run with this unit? Considering Giannis is going to be a free agent in 2 years, he can opt out.
I think it could be as small as having a guy like PJ Tucker come in and out. You know what I mean? Like how different that was for the Heat after he left. Um, I don't think you need drastic changes. I think having a new coach and then maybe like one or two small pieces might or changes
Mhm.
might kind of be all you need. It's like if you tweak with everything too much, then you don't really know what you have. You don't know what the type of standard for the new coach will be either. You change way too much, and then you change everything, and then before you know it, you don't really know what you have besides Giannis. So I don't know if I do all that. I just think I'd start with the coach and try to bring back most of the same people and maybe just small tweak here or there.
Got it. Bryce, something we've been waiting for about 3 years happened. Joel Embiid got his first MVP.
Hmm.
Um, I sent you, I know one clip. I don't know if you watched it or not. Um, when you see players that care, when I see players that care, it does something to me. And watching that clip, not the clip of him getting it before the game, but watching the actual MVP announcement and watching his reaction, the
Mhm.
team's reaction, um, that was to me absolutely fantastic. Um, how do you feel about Joel Embiid? I know how you felt about him potentially winning, but now how do you feel about him actually winning it?
Well, I mean, look, there's like debates every year as to who gets it, but he's been in that talk for a number of years. He's been in that top echelon of few guys, um, and a lot of factors go into voting and things like that. And I told you why. I think I was picking Giannis most of the season until
Yeah.
it was almost time, and then I was basically still saying Giannis, but thinking that they would pick Jokic and wishing they'd pick Embiid, so that way
Mhm.
we wouldn't have to talk about it anymore. So, but with that being said, it's I like Embiid as a player. I like watching him play and stuff. He's exciting. Um, one of the best big men that we have for a while now. Him, Jokic, Davis. Those guys are special. So I'm happy for him. You could have argued he could have had one already by now. I mean, like he's in that race every year, so he's more than deserving. Like I said, I'm happy for him and his team are able to get behind him and support him. In that video, you're able to see the camaraderie. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for that Philly team. But it's like now you might not even get a chance to enjoy it long because you might get knocked out by the Celtics this round. So it's kind of like
We're gonna get into that.
it could be bittersweet, but no, I mean he deserves it. He's been working towards it for a long time, and now we can move past the will he won't he ever with the MVP trophy.
Right,
So
right, and
that's the better about
that's the biggest part. He finally has it, right?
it. Hmm.
Whether it was a sympathy vote, whatever, who cares? Because that does happen sometimes. The thing with Joel Embiid, and I'm gonna make a comparison to Kevin Durant because I know this is not gonna happen. Kevin Durant pivoted when he won his MVP. He showed his true self, his insecure self, his selfish self after he won the MVP because we had never seen that before. And, he gave us the crocodile tears and shit like that during his press conference. I think Joel Embiid is one of the most genuine NBA players that we have. Similar to Russell Westbrook, as in what you see is what you get. Um, I didn't think Joel would break down, but when he did, when they first made the announcement, I was like, wow. I got emotional watching it because, like I said, seeing someone else who gives a fuck makes me give a fuck. And then the night that he got the trophy in front of the crowd and having his son there, he was breaking down again. I was like, this really means the world to him. And that's what we like to see. We like to see emotion, raw emotion out of our players. We don't, with all due respect to LeBron James, he's robotic. We don't want to see players robotic all the time. We want to see emotion. We want to see that they give a shit. Kevin Garnett winning his first championship and had tears in his eyes. Shaq winning his first championship and had tears in his eyes, talking about he got elbowed, which was hilarious, by the way. Um, that's what we like to see. So seeing that from Joel Embiid,
Hmm.
seeing the process, what everything he's been through, being injured his rookie year, being on that trash team, everyone saying trust the process, trust the process. Yeah, Ben Simmons was a mistake, but look at the Sixers now. Look at Joel Embiid right now. Even Doc Rivers, a championship coach, coming out and saying like, "I've never coached the MVP before. Like, I'm so proud of him."
Hmm.
It's fucking amazing, bro. It's fucking amazing. You get a fucking immigrant from Africa. You get what I'm saying? He had Ba Mute there, who was in the NBA years ago, at his MVP speech, thanking him for bringing him to the NBA. I had no idea they had a relationship. I mean, they're both Nigerians, so I get it. But I had no idea. Luke used to play for the Magic. He played for the Magic a couple of years, I believe.
Mm.
Joel Embiid had him there, so I'm just like, wow. It was great. It was fantastic. He deserves his flowers. But yeah, let's just segue into it. They shouldn't have lost Game 3 um, at home to the Celtics. So the Celtics have regained home court.
Mhm.
Right now, the Celtics are up 2-1. I'm a little nervous. Now, not using this as an excuse, elephant in the room, Joel's not right. We know that. That knee's not right. He has a humongous knee brace on. With that said, do you give the Sixers a chance now that Boston has reclaimed home court? Do you give the Sixers a chance being down 2-1 to take this series and go to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Um, no, no. I think Boston wins the series now. I was really worried for Boston game one.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look right. Philly came out, was able to take that one without Embiid, and it it looked rough. But they really answered back the second game and then continued with it game three. So and like you said, I know Embiid is hurt. He's not 100%, but he's out there. He's on the court, so it's
Fair point. Yeah.
Philly's in trouble. Philly's in trouble since I think. I think they get another game. They might even take it to 7 games, but I don't think they win the series. I hope Embiid doesn't get hurt more. I
Right.
hope he doesn't re-injure himself because
Right.
that could happen.
Right. I respect him being out there because of course he's an
Mm.
MVP. He's the fucking franchise. Okay, they need him. So I respect him battling through the pain and being out there. For selfish reasons, I need Philly to win this series. I need it to go 7 games. I need Philly to go to Boston and win this thing in 7 games, right? It's as improbable as it seems, for selfish reasons, I need Philly to win this series.
What, you don't want to play the refs again?
Can't. I can't. I almost retired from basketball last year because of that bullshit. I can't. I can't deal with it. Um, but for basketball reasons and for non-biased reasons, I think Boston took control of the series, Game 3. Um, and I still think it could go 7, but I think Boston will close it out in 7. So I think both of our prediction is that Boston's going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Mm.
Okay. Moving along to yesterday's finals. In a god awful, ugly game, god awful on both sides. The Miami Heat blew out the New York Knicks. The Knicks never led in the game. It was an ugly game. It was an ugly game. But the Knicks were never in the game. They got it down to 10 one time, and then Miami pushed forward again. Outside of a bad call in Game 2, which was a really bad call that took away 2 points from the Miami Heat, this series would actually be 3-0. Are you surprised that the Heat are handling the New York Knicks in the way that they are?
Yeah, especially with the injuries they have as well. Like I know Bam and Jimmy are playing and they're your two best players, but Bam has a way of not acting like he's one of your best players, I guess. Like the way it comes
Mhm.
off, like it seems like it goes to Tyler because I guess just because of the flash, it's
Yes, that's the only reason. That's
like
the only reason.
he's known for being more of the scorer where Bam is the defensive guy. Even though he's capable of getting you some buckets, he's not like the flashy scorer. But with that being said, if I was a Heat fan, I would have been kind of annoyed with your lackluster season because because it looks like the Knicks aren't really in the series with you. It seemed like Milwaukee wasn't really in the series with you, and for you guys being as hurt as you are, you probably should have had a better regular season.
Yeah.
So that I would have been frustrated as like a Heat fan to see what we had, especially compared to last year, and really underperforming most of the season. So you're making up for it now, of course. So I think it puts the way these series are going is making Milwaukee and the Knicks are going to have to eventually answer some questions this offseason. It seems like Milwaukee already has, of course, so the Knicks are still in the series technically. So, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great. I mean, even the game Jimmy wasn't in didn't look great for the Knicks, even though they won.
I know. I know.
It wasn't super convincing, and so um, yeah, if Jimmy's playing, I don't think the Knicks stand a chance, honestly. Um, and so they have to answer some more questions for the offseason. But no, the Heat should be closing this up, and I think we're going to see Heat Boston in the conference finals.
I'm going to make this really quick because everyone knows I'm a Heat fan. So the season has been extremely frustrating considering we only lost one guy. We only lost one guy, which is PJ Tucker. So this core led the Eastern Conference for the second half of last season. Like we were the number one team in the East for the second half of last season. We went to the conference finals. We were one shot away, one Jimmy Butler shot away from going to the finals, despite having to play against the refs, like you alluded to earlier. So for them to have the season that they had, yeah, injuries, yeah, but fuck that. We don't use that as an excuse. For them to have the season that they had was extremely frustrating. I was offended in the offseason, and I've said this before. I don't remember which writer it was. The writer was like, the Heat are going to be a playing team. I was like, the fuck? We're going to go from number one to being a playing team? Who the fuck are you? That's disrespectful. And look what happened. The Heat were a fucking playing team, so he was right. Whoever the fuck you are, kudos to you, you piece of shit. You were right. But Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry all said the same thing. We know our regular season was trash, but if we can get into the playoffs, then you're going to see the true Miami Heat. And I said this last week. The only difference between this year's team and last year's team was last year we were number one in 3-point shooting in the league. This year we were trash, but the same players were there. So it just comes down to them making shots. And in the playoffs, they have been making the 3-point shot. So now everybody's like, where did this Heat team come from?
Yeah.
Technically, we've been there the whole time. They just wasn't making shots in the regular season. And now they're making shots, which allows Jimmy to be Jimmy. If the others aren't making shots, then you load up on Jimmy. But because the others are making shots, now you have to pay attention to them, and now Jimmy can do Jimmy Butler things. So that's the only difference. It's the only difference. Um, New York is done. They're done. I knew they were done after game two when we led the entirety of the game in New York without Jimmy Butler, and we just blew it at the end. I knew then New York is done. They're fucking done. So the Eastern Conference Finals. It baffles me that this regular season team, this team I watched for the regular season, will end up where they ended up last year in the Eastern Conference. It fucking baffles me. And now we potentially, and we're going to say potentially because it's not over with yet. The, the the Miami Knicks series is over. Miami's going to the conference finals. The Knicks are done. They're shook. And Bam, by the way, played absolutely tremendous defense on Julius Randle. Randle couldn't get shit done yesterday because Bam just completely locked him down. So kudos to Bam for that. But we're gonna have potentially another Heat Knicks conference finals. I don't know if I can deal with it again. I don't know because last year was so gross. It was so
Who's
fucking gross.
Boston?
Forgive me, I forgot who I said, but forgive me. The goose is starting to kick in. Forgive me. Um, it was so gross last year. I don't know if I can stomach it again. Okay. But that's what the trend is with both teams being up 2-1. The trend is looking like Miami and Boston. Of course, Boston is going to have home court advantage. But we'll do our predictions on that next week. In the Western Conference, Phoenix survived. They must win against Denver without Chris Paul. So now Denver's leading 2-1. So Phoenix opened the door a little bit to give themselves a little hope. Do you think Denver pushes forward, or do you think Phoenix can tie the series up today?
Um, I think overall Phoenix gets one more game
Okay.
because I think KD and Booker get you 2 games.
Yeah.
Um,
And Devin Booker has been playing out of his fucking mind this series. Yeah.
amazing, right? Amazing, but
Give him his kudos. Yeah.
um, I don't see them winning the series.
Hmm.
Not with what I've seen already. Like I said,
Hmm.
I think Booker's good enough to get you a game. I think KD's good enough to get you a game. But that 2 games might be it. And so honestly, if I'm Phoenix, I look to really try to move on as much as I can from like Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton.
Really?
Chris Paul, I mean, how many times does he have to get hurt in important times, and how old does he have to be before you want to go with something else? That's my opinion. And then DeAndre Ayton is getting. I mean, I know there's like people out there that like DeAndre. Um, I don't know how the Phoenix fan base is on him as a whole, but he's getting really exposed right now. It seems like. I mean, the internet's killing him. These memes and shit where there's a video of him standing damn near out of bounds while Jokic and another player are all like fighting for a rebound, and
Yeah.
he looks scared to even get in there. You know what I mean? And that's your
Yeah.
big man. You don't want to see that out of your center, afraid to get in there. It looked it looked bad to me. I saw the clip, and I'm not saying that clip is indicative of his whole career. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm just saying you need your guys to show up and in these moments, and it's very eye opening when they don't. Let's just say that. So I think Phoenix is in trouble. I don't think I think maybe they get another game. I don't know at some point when that game comes. But I think they're another team that has to make some major changes if you
Hmm.
really want to be a championship team and not waste the time that you have between Devin Booker and KD. You got to try to make the most of having both those guys there. And so, to me, um, if I'm them, I look to move on past Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. But I think I don't know what game they win, but I think they win one more game.
Got it. Um, Outside of Jimmy Butler, and there is a slight difference between the two, but outside of Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker has been the most exciting player in the playoffs. Like he's showing us something. The only thing is he's down in his series when Butler is up, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I would make the argument. I mean, everybody would make the argument that Jimmy Butler is tougher than Devin Booker. Like you don't want to see Jimmy Butler in the alley at night. You just don't, right? That's not going to go good for you. Um, but I like seeing. I mean, he's all their guy, and no disrespect to Kevin Durant. We know what Kevin Durant is. We already know what he is. We know what he's going to give you. But Booker elevating his game in the playoffs like this, where similarly to Chris Paul, he's traditionally hurt, is good for his career. It's really
Mhm.
good because I kind of know you kind of wrote him off in the regular season. I kind of wrote him off in the regular season. We're like, okay, Booker's not going to hit that next step, but he's actually hitting it now. So I give him credit for that because I do love Devin Booker. We all know why. I love Devin Booker. I got love for Devin. But um, so I'm actually shocked that we're seeing the output that we're seeing. But again, he's all they have. It's Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, or bust. That's it because they gutted that team to get Kevin Durant there. I don't think Phoenix wins another game. Denver, of the final 8 teams, which will soon be 4 teams, Denver's the deepest team. I don't think Phoenix wins another game. I just don't think Phoenix can deal with the onslaught of Denver.
Hmm.
With Milwaukee out of the picture, Denver is the title favorites. They just are because, like I said, they're the deepest team in the NBA. Game three is usually won by the home team, whether they're up or down. Game three is usually done. I mean, usually wins. I think this is going to be a gentleman's sweep. I think Denver is going to close this out. I think they're going to win the next two games, and I think Phoenix is done. I just don't think Phoenix has enough firepower to get through it. In the event that Phoenix loses, there might be a coaching change.
Hmm.
As great as Monty Williams is, as much as people love Monty Williams, we may have a Milwaukee situation. That may be a coaching change.
Hmm.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it first here. Okay. Um, we had a bit of a surprise last night. The Los Angeles Lakers remembered how to play big. They remembered how to use their size against the Golden State Warriors. And now the Los Angeles Lakers, who have home court, are up 2 games to 1 on the Golden State Warriors. My question to you is this how the dynasty dies for the Golden State Warriors?
What do you mean?
All
What do you mean die?
all dynasties come to an end. This is it for this team. If they don't win the championship this year, this is it. Draymond's not going to be back. They're going to have to start cutting costs. So
Hmm.
this is it. This is absolutely it for this team if they don't win the championship. So do you think they die in this round, or do you think they can beat the Lakers and move on? But right now they're down 2-1 with the Lakers having home court.
Um, yeah, I don't think they make it out of this round.
Woo!
Um, I think LA finishes that off, but
Hot take. Hot take.
it might. I mean, it's still going to be a good series. But I mean, Golden State can afford to end it because they got enough championships. They're good. They're fine. It was a success. Those three guys were a success together. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can move on.
You waving the white flag?
They're not going to be done. Golden State will retool with some
I just
different
say
pieces. They won't. They won't. It's not like they're going to disappear. If Steph and Clay are there, I give them a decent shot every year.
I make the argument. We know Draymond's going because of the three, and this is no disrespect to Draymond. Of the three, you pay Steph first, you pay Clay first, then you pay Draymond. So Draymond's gonna be gone. Okay. If they lose in the second round, and they're the defending champs, same team, I think you look at getting rid of Clay too. So you let Draymond walk in free agency. Clay can't walk this year, but you can see what you can get from Clay in the trade market
Mhm.
and try to rebuild your team on the fly that way. So you let Draymond walk. That's going to clear up some cap space. You trade Clay, see if you can bring in some more pieces, and then you might be able to rebuild on the fly. Kind of like how Miami does. Miami has
Mhm.
soft rebuilds. We don't rebuild completely, but we have like soft rebuilds, and I think Golden State can do that. One thing I do want to say about the Lakers, they are playing big again when Anthony Davis decides that he's a big man. The growth and maturity of D'Angelo Russell. That kid has been on a mission this whole playoffs. I can make the argument that he's been their best player throughout these playoff games. I mean, he had 20 points in the first half last game. I've always loved D'Angelo Russell, but it looks like he's finally putting it together now. Okay. If he continues to play as he has in this playoffs, I'm not going to say the Lakers win the championship, but my prediction of the Lakers going to the finals might be true.
Mhm.
It might actually be true because you have LeBron's going to be LeBron. He's going to be LeBron, kind of like Kevin Durant. You know what you're going to get from LeBron. If Anthony Davis plays consistent, if D'Angelo Russell plays consistent, I mean that dude. Nothing. I will never, ever in my life, ever, ever, ever say anything bad about Russell Westbrook. But that trade that the Lakers made to get D'Angelo to Los Angeles propelled them to where we're at right now.
Mhm.
Um, I'm, as I predicted last week, I see a pathway for
Mhm.
Miami and Los Angeles for the finals.
You really want
Um,
the Lakers to beat y'all 2 times for a championship?
what I'm saying is, my prediction is Lakers Heat in the finals. The basketball gods haven't told me who's going to win that, but I'm predicting Lakers Heat in the finals. Okay. And so far we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay.
Um,
I
Denver Lakers though is going to be a nuts series.
It is, but here's the thing about the Lakers. Denver still has the edge. Don't get me wrong, because they're still the deepest team in the NBA. So it has to be a miracle for the Lakers to get through them. But I will say this: the Lakers are big enough to contend with
Mhm.
Denver because Denver's big. Okay,
Yeah,
Golden State's not big enough to deal with Denver. Golden State's having a hard time with the Lakers right now, but the Lakers are big enough to deal with Denver. Um, so yeah, my NBA Finals prediction is the Lakers and the Heat, and I'm sticking to it. Um, I'm sticking to it because I don't. I love Golden State. Let me just say that I've loved Golden State from the start. I love Steph. I love Clay. I love Draymond. God knows I love Jordan Poole. God knows it. Okay, and he needs to step up because he got that money. He needs to step the fuck up.
mhm.
But I don't. I don't think they get through the series. And every dynasty ends, and I've seen a lot of them end, and it makes me sad every time I see them end. Um,
Makes
I
me
think this
hopeful.
is I think this is it, bro. I don't. I think LeBron smells the blood in the water. Um, they shouldn't have dropped that game the way that they dropped it last night. They shouldn't have dropped that game. The Lakers went on this run in the second quarter and just took off and just beat the fuck out of Golden State. If the Warriors go down the next game and the Lakers are up 3-1, that's a wrap.
Mhm.
LeBron's gonna have one of his God mode games, and he's gonna close that series out. It's an absolute wrap. So Golden State, the next game is an absolute must win for Golden State. I give you that second win for Phoenix. Phoenix may tie this game up, but I still think the Nuggets are gonna wrap this up in five.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks are done. I think Philly actually responds, so we have a 2-2 series. Because out of all these series, that's the only one that I think is going to go seven. Philly and Boston.
Hmm.
So conference finals prediction: I have Lakers and Nuggets, Heat and Boston. What do you have?
The same. Same.
And it will be a rematch, of course, from last year's Eastern Conference Finals with Heat and
Hmm.
Boston. Wow, wow! It will
And
be the third time. Go ahead.
the Heat in Denver need to watch out because you know what the NBA wants every year. Every
Look,
year they
the,
want it. So the
the,
Denver and the Heat.
yeah,
I said it
yeah.
last year. If you want to win, you're gonna have to be undeniable.
The phone calls will be made for a I'm sorry, for a Lakers Boston NBA Finals. The phone calls will be made. There will be shenanigans. I will say this because this is impressive about the Heat and the Boston Celtics. This will be the third time in five, possibly. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Possibly the third time in 5 years that the Heat and Boston would have played each other in the conference finals, and they split 1-1. Okay, Heat won one, Boston won one. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the rubber match. But you're absolutely right. There are going to be shenanigans from the NBA. There hasn't been a lot this playoffs, but it's going to come because
Mhm.
the NBA would nut all over itself for another Boston Lakers series. That's just the fact. We just have to deal with it. That's just what
Mhm.
it is. Bryce, I want to throw a surprise topic out to you because I saw this the other day. Generally speaking, when teams win the championship, any player that plays for that team throughout the season gets a championship ring, whether they're traded away or not.
Hmm.
Patrick Beverly, who's no longer with the Lakers, who started the season with the Lakers, and Russell Westbrook, who's no longer with the Lakers, who started the season with the Lakers. Apparently, they had a conversation. And Patrick Beverly said on his podcast that Russell Westbrook said if the Lakers win the championship this year, he wants his ring. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about Russell Westbrook at all. But how do you feel about players who start the season with a team who may not finish the season with a team still getting a championship ring? How do you feel about that? Because it happens.
Um, well, for like whatever reason or the reasoning that that was implemented to begin with, I'm not here to argue that point because I'm not super familiar with it. Like,
Mhm.
the reasoning behind this. So, all I can say is that from like a personal perspective, and I'm not an NBA player, of course. I haven't put in years into the league. I haven't, wanted the respect that my game I feel like warrants me. I'm not Russell Westbrook, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you might see it as with all the shit I went through, I deserve it. But me being the type of person I am, if I'm not with that team when they're winning the championship, I would feel a little odd. I wouldn't feel super deserving. It'd be like one of those rings that like maybe I take and I pawn it or something or sell it. I mean,
Mhm.
um, I don't know. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, for me, it's not really. I really wouldn't want it, or I would look at it and be like, I didn't even play for that. I wasn't on the court when the championship was won. So for me, I really wouldn't want it, but I could at least see the world where an argument exists where someone else might.
I just put the bracket on the screen. Forgive me. I should have did that in the last segment so everybody can see where we are. But all the series are right now 2 games to 1
Hmm.
going into today's game. So I'm going to throw you a curveball because one of our favorite players, who we still wish was in the league today, and it's bullshit that they're not. One of our favorite players, DeMarcus Cousins, actually has a championship ring from the Los Angeles Lakers. He can call himself an NBA champion, even though he was hurt in the bubble when the Lakers won the championship. How
Hmm.
insane is that? How insane is that? Because no one looks at DeMarcus Cousins as an NBA champion, but apparently he accepted the ring. I had no idea. I just found it out this week. Um, I as a competitive person, I'm a bit shocked that Russell Westbrook would say he would want this championship should the Lakers win it. I'm a bit shocked by that. Okay. Um, this is going to be the first time that I've ever said anything bad about Russell Westbrook. But I totally, emphatically, unapologetically disagree with that. If you're not on that roster when they're making their championship run, and I'm talking about playoffs, you don't deserve a ring. I'm sorry. I can't go with it. I cannot go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because the playoffs is a completely different season. It's a completely different season. So I can't go with that notion of, oh, I was with the Lakers for the first half of the season. I deserve a championship ring. So y'all can book it. This is the absolute first time I would disagree with Russell Westbrook because I think it's utter bullshit to say that. I just think that if you're not on that playoff roster, you don't deserve shit. And I'm sorry. That's I'm absolutely sorry. So I agree with you on that because it's just like even with DeMarcus Cousins, that's a different situation because he was hurt and he didn't play. So yes, he deserves his ring. But if you're not even on a fucking team because you were traded at the trade deadline, you don't deserve a fucking ring. You didn't go through that 16 win playoff marathon. Fuck you. No. Bullshit. And Patrick Beverly, you piece of shit. You don't deserve it either.
Mhm.
And he should not have even exposed that conversation. To be honest with you, that should have been a private conversation. He should have never exposed that because this is like, do I love Russell Westbrook 95% of the time? Absolutely, but this 5%, I can't fuck with that. I cannot. I absolutely cannot. So we are gonna wrap this up for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. So again, Nuggets up 2 games to 1. Lakers up 2 games to 1. Heat up 2 games to 1. Celtics up 2 games to 1. We're in for a very interesting week because we are marching towards the end. And very soon, I believe it's June 1st or June 2nd, less than a month from now, the NBA Finals are going to start. Bryce, for your two early finals predictions, since I already did mine, Lakers, Heat. For your two early finals predictions, who do you have?
Um, just for the sake of being different, let's go Nuggets Boston.
Nuggets, Celtics. So we're going to be complete opposite.
None of it will
Lake,
surprise me. I'll just go ahead and say none of the results will surprise me. But Denver, Denver's been fighting. They're ready for that next step.
they've
Let's
never
see
won
if
a
they
championship.
have enough because right now they look like they have enough, but it's hard to go against the Lakers if they keep playing big and Anthony Davis and D'Lo
Mhm.
keep performing. It's gonna be a tough series. So I won't be surprised by any of these four teams making it if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I want this so bad for D'Lo. Anthony Davis has a championship. LeBron James has a championship. This is the deepest run D'Lo has ever made. I'm telling you, D'Lo's been playing out of his mind. Um, to all the fans out there that love basketball, drop us some likes, like, subscribe, and share our content. Let us know how much you love us. Let us know how much you hate us in the comments. We always respond. I've only been covering the NBA since 1995. I know basketball. Bryce knows basketball. As Bryce can say, I've been spot on this playoff series. God, I needed it because the last few years have been trash. But we appreciate all you guys. You guys have a great week, and we are